Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small.
And I'm Paul Ogden.
We are here today. It's September 23rd, 2012. It's a Sunday. We usually shoot on a Saturday. Beautiful day out fall.
It is a little cold. That's the way autumn is, Mark.
Yeah, geez, we
had a debate over it. I'm not a big fan of it.
This is my favorite season. We're honored and privileged to have as a guest today Stewart Alexander, who's candidate for President of the United States for the Socialist Party. Welcome again, Stewart.
Thanks for the invitation.
Stuart, if people want to get information on your campaign, look at your platform, etc., where do they go on the internet?
On the internet, they would go to Stewart Alexander for President 2012.org. That's STEWARTALEXANDER 4. That's FOR President 2012.org. And the other way, I just tell many people, if they want to just do some research on the campaign, just go on the search bar, put in Stewart Alexander, STEWART Alexander, put that, and it'll be a lot of information, including usually the first or second location information that will be in that search will be the website.
And so the ophthalmologist wasn't you. That was the
no.
Okay.
No.
In Indiana, you're a write-in candidate. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm a write-in candidate.
And you have to be officially recognized as a write-in candidate.
You need to be officially recognized, because if you're not, they still won't count those votes in this state and many other states.
So if a voter walks into their polling place here in Indiana, if they can find it, and they move them around all the time. So the voter walks into the polling place, gets a ballot. How do they go about voting for you?
Well, in most states, like if it's a write-in candidate, they will have it posted. Either it will be they will receive information in the mail, depending on the state, all the write-in candidates, and they can write in those candidates by name. In Texas, for instance, is in each voting location, they have all the write-in candidates are posted where you can actually select whatever name that you like, and then you write in that candidate.
Let's presume that this is a state in which write-in candidate friendliness is not at a peak, and so if a person walks into the precinct, there's nothing there beyond the 80,000 pamphlets and flyers about the Republicans or Democrats who are running.
Stewart may not know how voting is done in Indiana. It depends on what county you're in.
Right.
Marion County, the biggest county in Indianapolis, we have a Scantron.
Right.
You fill in the little ovals, feed in the machine. You won't be on that ballot, is my understanding.
Because it's determined by the voter registrar's office, usually in each county. Like in California, same thing. The voter registrar's office, not unless it's mandated by the state how that process is supposed to be taken care of, then it's up to the registrar in that particular county how they do that.
And Paul, I've worked the polls like 3 times. Paul's worked them a bunch.
Yeah.
Paul, can the precinct workers advise a voter how to do a write-in vote? If they say, I want to vote for this person, I want to vote for Stewart Alexander, write-in for president.
They had to ask for a ballot.
Yeah.
And they'll get a piece of paper with the write-in names on it.
Okay, but is the worker obligated to show the voter how to do that?
When you say how to do it,
you can't.
they're obligated to give them the ballot.
Okay.
Right. And you can't. They can't go beyond that in those states.
Now, so that brings us to because this kind of brings us to the topic we were wanting to discuss next, and that's ballot access. If you're telling me that a person going in to write in can't ask a precinct worker, how do I do this? You know, they basically have to know how to do this system that's outside just the fill in the blank.
And most people don't know how to do this.
I know, so it's really made unfeasible for an alternative party candidate.
Well, you have to consider the way that the ballot access laws are in this country. They're very unfair to third-party candidates.
And I'm going to stop you there. I don't like third-party. If you use third-party, it assumes 2 parties are there to begin with. I'm sorry.
Can he use non-major party?
Yeah.
And I don't want to say 2-party because then
it's really one.
It's one.
Yeah.
But if you consider, like in California, for a full party, like I'm with the Socialist Party USA, ballot access for the full party is 1,103,000 people that actually will sign a petition for that full ballot. If it's for a candidate to be on the ballot in California, it's 172,000. Now, just recently, American Elects got on the ballot in California at the cost of $3 million. That was the cost. Minor parties and candidates don't have those type of financial resources.
So you said they can buy their way on the ballot?
If you're someone like a Ross Perot, you can
some states have
buy
heard
your
that
way.
they're doing that now.
Well,
Right.
but here's the thing. I mean,
It's very unfair.
rich people have it rough. I mean, they've got to go to the expense of hiring attorneys and getting people out there to fill out all these forms. And, you know, Americans elect are there for a reason. It's going to come up and haunt us in the next election, Paul. They're on ballots in all 50 states, and they're just a shell corporation.
Exactly.
But that aside,
It's just a corporation.
yeah, they create all these barriers, and they're barriers to people being able just to vote for a party in which they believe.
What I want to mention, and not just to beat up on American Elects, obviously.
Oh, I have a couple of
lot-
times.
I believe that the federal elections, I think they should, especially when it comes to nominating, the president, it should be regulated by the FEC, how it's even done on a state level. And I think it needs to be something that's more uniform, because right now you have 50 states, and all 50 states is done 50 different ways. And it's at an extreme cost that individuals such as like myself and people that are, I don't want to say third-party candidates, but people that don't have the financial resources, they cannot be able to buy in that political process. But it is done intentionally to make certain that they keep the Democrats and the Republicans, the ones that are to dominate the ballots in the elections.
Well, the last time that we had an overturning of one of the two major political parties in this country, if I'm not mistaken, was in the 1850s going into the 1860 presidential election.
Right.
And that was because there was a huge issue confronting the country.
The Whig Party.
Right.
Well, I know there were a lot of
Whigs got
Whigs.
kinda silly
They wanted
after
to have a lot of Whigs sold, but you had a huge issue of slavery, and that split the electorate and split the party system. But since then, it's been fairly on autopilot.
It's one thing that you mentioned a few minutes ago, which I agree. I mean, and it is on autopilot. And essentially what we have today, we just have one party. We have, it's the way the structure is right now is, you take candidate A or you take candidate B, party A, party B, but essentially, you only have one choice. And you could have the candidates. I look at some of the candidates that have run for public office before. They don't even hesitate to switch from party to party. They feel comfortable doing that because the parties, as I had mentioned earlier, they are controlled by the corporations that install them in those positions, and subsequently the people, once they get there, they're beholden to those corporations. One person I think in particular, when they buck against the system and the people who put them in there, like I was thinking about Alan Grayson in Florida. Once he went into the U.S. House, and he was bucking against the system, and he was, he went in there to represent the people.
Alan Keyes.
No, Grayson.
No, Grayson.
Right.
Okay. Right. I'm thinking.
But he, in particular, he was speaking. He was on a mission against the Federal Reserve and speaking about the way that the debt was out of control. But the same thing like Dennis Kucinich. And subsequently, you see politicians like that are actually, they're maneuvered outside of the system and outside of the position of being able to run future elections. But the corporations, they make certain that they keep the candidates in that are favorable for whatever their particular causes are.
Well, and I don't know that it's necessarily even a favorable cause when you're talking
Well, I
about
shouldn't say favorable cause. In other words, to protect their interests.
their culture. I mean,
Right, their culture.
I look
I
at,
shouldn't say cause because it's really a culture.
yeah, because when big tobacco was involved, shareholders, I don't think, cared whether it was tobacco or widgets or what. Tobacco started going into public disfavor, so they started investing in tobacco, cessation programs. And people didn't care.
I think we better get to some issues.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well,
What? You said that.
What is the one major issue that you stand for?
Well, the biggest issue right now, and that we were facing in 2008, and that we're facing right now is jobs. I mean, presently we have 23 million people. The real numbers, 23 million people that are out of work in this country. And when you look at many of the students, college students, high school students that can't get jobs, many seniors that would like to work because they can't, that number even go up from there. When you look at people that are underemployed, it's well over 60 million people in this country. We have a severe problem with this economy, and there's no light in the tunnel that we can see coming from either of the two corporate parties. The other issue that we can tie a lot of that in, tie much of that into with the unemployment would be the trade that we have in this country. We believe that the trade policies in this country are very unfair to American workers. We have allowed big corporations to be able to set up trade agreements that are primarily in favor of protecting the interests and the profits of big corporations. How do they do that? They go outside of that and they look for cheap labor. When you look at some parts of China, Indonesia, South Korea, and other parts of the globe, these people are working at they're working at $2 and $3 per hour compared to what we consider should be
per day.
Or per day. The other big issue that we have for 2012 and also was in 2008 is the war, because much of what we see happening is we're expending vast amounts of resources, financial resources as a nation.
We've always had.
Well,
no declaration of war.
Yeah, there's no declaration of war, but we're always at war.
I know.
Right, but this is costing billions and billions of dollars with the Socialist Party USA and my platform. We are calling for a 50% reduction in just military spending and eventually roll back to 10% of what the current level is. If you consider that the budget and what we're spending for military spending in this country, that we're spending almost as much as the rest of the world combined, something is wrong with that. Then you understand what U.S. imperialism is all about.
Do you think that the United States, if we're going to go, unless we're attacked, do you think that we should have to have a declaration of war, as the Constitution states, in order to go to war with somebody?
I think before any conflict or war outside of, I believe it should be a declaration. I am one that believes that war, you cannot leave it up to a political party or a president. War is serious business.
We're running out of time on this segment, Stewart. We'll be back, but before I forget, we'd like to thank the folks at YouTube for being able to be on so you can watch us. So we'll be right back in a minute.
Islam.